I just, welcome to What Now, our new podcast. We just started this. My friend Judy. Judy, say hi, Judy. And I'm Dana. We have been friends for a good amount of time and been having discussions more and more about our adult children and how aging has kind of taken us by surprise in some ways. And finding that our conversations have proven to be not only fruitful, but also comforting as we go through aging, as we realize that there are commonalities as you go through it. As you get older, your kids are older, everything's older, you're working towards retirement, this world that we all dreamed of, we all thought was going to be the be all end all in our lives, and everything was going to fall beautifully into place. And we're finding that that just isn't happening. And I think the other thing that we found was just people don't talk about it. There aren't real conversations. I feel like when you and I talk, Judy, I think we're the ones that are uncovering this great thing, but then you go out in the world and nobody else is talking about it again.
Yeah, because all they're talking about is what a great time I had with my grandkids, and not
Yep.
the stuff that happens in the background.
Yep. And that's very true. I think Judy's and my kids are about the same age. We've all got both have adult children, and it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle. It all kind of started, and I think we've realized that this whole process of this phase of aging, where not only do your children's roles change, but your parental roles, you as a parent, your role changes as well, is kind of when your kids start driving, right? Used to be they were dependent on you 24/7. They couldn't go anywhere without you. You were able to kind of keep those reins nice and tight. But then when they start driving, you got nothing.
Yeah.
I remember vividly with my youngest when he was in band in high school, and the first time that I went to see him play band, I didn't watch the football game. They were never any good. But I'd go watch halftime and watch him play in the band. And the first time that he was like, "Okay, mom, see you later." And I drove home alone. And I remember I cried. I cried. It
Yeah.
was terrifying. It was, they always talk about grief, blah, blah, blah. It was like the end of something significant. And
Mm-hmm.
here this whole time I'm thinking, this is going to be great. I'm going to have all this free time. I don't have to do this and that and this and that. And it was the most depressing thing that had happened to me at that time.
Yeah. And we look at that thinking like exactly what you said. I think that, this is my next step of freedom. This
Yeah.
is my freedom. This is my next step into freedom. It
Nope.
doesn't always happen that way. In fact, most of the time, it seems like it's the opposite.
Yeah,
It's just,
absolutely.
it's just the opposite. You hit all those milestones as you go through life with your kids, and every milestone you get with your kids, it's almost like you lose a little bit of yourself as
Mm,
you go. So you go up a step with your children, take a step down, or take a step back in the background with yourself.
yeah.
And you get to the point where it's like they're gone. Now we're all empty nesters, but who am I? Who
Yeah.
am I now? Am I still that girl that from sophomore year in college that still wants to go out and ride horses? Because yeah, that was me. But I don't own a horse. I can't do it anymore. It's hard. It's expensive because you spend all your money on your kids.
Yeah, that's true. But I think another part, so it's all about roles being defined, right? So you're a parent, there's your role defined. And I think as your kids get older, they're also defining our roles. So that's like,
Mm-hmm.
it was very hard for me. It's very hard, and like I said, I don't feel like it's out there. I feel like a lone little soldier. People look at me and say, "You must be so excited. You're so close to retirement." And I even say that. It's like my password for my work right now is 2 more years. Come on, what am I? I'm looking so forward to this. And it's like, is it really what it's all cracked up to be? I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know either because moving toward that, you just become more hesitant.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second. I don't even know where I'm going. Am I supposed to be taking a left or a right? Or even plowing straight through, which is what we've done through all their childhoods.
Yeah.
It makes me think back of how did our parents do that?
That's what I was just thinking. It's
Is
like,
that why my mother was sometimes so angry when I came over with my kids? It's because she just wanted the day to herself and I
uh,
popped in.
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. And that is a lot to I mean, it has a lot to do with the generation that our parents were in. So
Mhm.
Judy and I are both in our 60s. So my parents are past. Judy still has a dad. Yay. But you didn't talk about that stuff. You didn't, we didn't have any modeling for this. And I think that butting up against the fact that the generations that our kids are in want to talk about everything. They are concerned about all their feelings and about all their triggers and about everything else. And we're kind of stuck in the middle of, I want to be like my parents because everything seemed to be okay. But was that total denial? Was that totally, I was thinking the other day, I only ever saw my mom cry once. And I only heard her swear once. That
Wow.
doesn't mean, I mean, ultimately, but I know she felt things. I
Mhm.
know she felt things. She used to say, which used to floor me, she used to say that she never expected to be happy. So in her life, it was like things that would come up, it wasn't shocking to her or earth-shattering to her if she was having a day where things weren't the best because she never expected that things were going to be good.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which really makes me, but maybe that's, she grew up into depression was when she was born. So maybe things were just so rough that it was a combination of gratitude and lowered expectations. Maybe that's what she needed. And in general, the world needed at that time to
Yeah,
just not have those expectations.
it's a really good point because every generation has their tools and what they thought was right. And when our kids become parents, which both of us have grandkids,
Hmm.
it's completely different. And for them to look back in a mirror or the rear view mirror and see why we raised them the way we did because of the information and the way we were raised,
Hmm.
it will never match. It will never be the same. And
Yeah.
so you are never going to have the exact same understanding. Your kids will never have the exact same understanding that you did or that your parents did or their parents did because everything changes so much as
Yeah.
we go on living. It's just unless you ask the right questions. And I think right now, I think that's one of my huge concerns is ask me about my childhood. Ask me what I struggled with my parents. Ask me how I was brought up,
Yeah.
which would bring me closer to my kids. And it's one of those things that your kids don't think about because you said everything's over. I don't think the word therapized is a word. It's so overanalyzed. Everything, everyone's triggered, everything is toxic when you need to sit in your your grief and your controversy and learn from it instead of saying, "Oh, I'm not going to talk to my mom for a month. She's bad for me,"
Yeah.
or something like that. But understanding is completely different in today's age. Understanding was different for us, for our parents. Understanding
Mhm.
for them was different with their parents, especially your mom too. You said she was born during the Depression.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Or at the
it's
end
so
of it. Yep.
it's for me. I'm kind of shocked and sad that your mom just never expected to be
Oh,
happy.
I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken when I heard that. I think
Oh,
she did find joy and she was able to be happy. But I mean, that generation was a whole bunch of suck it up, right? That whole generation was like, you know, you got a roof over your head and I don't want to hear any bitching and, that
ours is
kind of
to
stuff.
that extent
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Ours
that's
too.
true.
We're the resilient, generation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned something about the whole baby boomer versus Gen Z versus millennial stuff. I never heard of Jen Jones. And
What's that?
that's what I said. What is Jen Jones? It's apparently like 1956 to 1962. It's the end of the baby boomer until 62. So it's like 57. I
Yeah.
think it's 57 through 62. There's this
Okay.
5 or 6 year generation where they call it Jen Jones. And I think you and I don't know if you do, but me and 3 of my 4 siblings um, are in that because my mom
Okay.
had a baby like every 2 years or every year, every 16 months. So Yeah, oh, Jen Jones. Well, at least people aren't allowed to call me a boomer anymore, but you know what Jen Jones is.
So what's the significance of Jen Jones?
I guess it's not, I mean, everything, I'm not really sure. I have to look it up again, but it's a little more progressive than a baby boomer would be, or at least what 20 and 30 something year old kids would think of boomers.
Yeah.
It's more progressive than that because you're into the 60s. So you
Yeah.
didn't really, so really those people grew up in the 70s. They didn't grow up in the 60s like boomers did. They grew up in the 70s because most of my childhood was from, I mean, what's the definition of growing up? You
Yeah.
know, like my definition of growing up is junior high and high school.
Okay.
But it might be elementary school, you know, your informative years from kindergarten on up for some people.
Yeah.
But the influences that shaped me, especially when I went to college, was mostly high school. So that was mid to late 70s.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, people would think, oh, you're born in the 50s, you grew up in the 60s. Or some even think, oh, you were born in the 50s, you grew up in the 50s. No, I didn't grow up in the 50s, I was born in the 50s. Nothing happened. I barely remember Kennedy getting shot. I was only 5.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
But do you think it matters more when you were born or when your parents were born?
I think both.
Yeah.
I think both because they take the way they grew up and apply it to what's going on when you were born and their struggles and their, you know, their financial independence or lack thereof or whatever. And how many kids? I mean, look at how many kids we have today.
Yeah.
People have 1.5, 2 kids now. I grew up in a family of 5.
Yeah.
And we had neighbors down the road that had 12 kids.
Oh my word.
We all thought, oh, that's a little extensive. You must be. But they weren't. And
Yeah.
nowadays you see people with 5 kids. I mean, we know people from our old work that have 5 kids.
Oh yeah.
And you know, now it's like, oh, good for you, you go for it. But
Yeah.
20 years ago, it was like, oh my gosh, how could you do that?
I thought
So
I was a hero with
answer to
2.
your question, I think both. I think your kids, the age of your kids and how close you have them together, money, your relationship with your spouse, all has to do. It's all combined with the way you grew up because you do your best with what you were taught or what you witnessed from your parents.
Yeah.
And it seems illegal to use that now.
Yeah.
Because now it's called abuse, even though it might not even be physical at all. We're not even going to talk about safety and, you know, physical abuse or anything like that. We're just talking about emotions. And now it's like if I treated you that way and asked you to step up to the plate and wash the dishes when you were 12, well, you're a toxic mom.
Yes.
I'm getting off track. Sorry.
No. But I think it's true. I mean, that's what we're talking about, right? The difference between the generations and how, you know, in your life you peak, you're young, you're the ones, you know, that all the movie stars are your same age, and then you come back down the other way. I mean, that's what we're talking about because as we're going down, people are coming up. But and by up, I mean, you know, prime of life, seen as more, you know, youthful or whatever, and then coming down, losing that usefulness or not be seen as useful. And I think even those definitions are different between, you know, what is it that makes you more important, for lack of a better phrase, in society in regards to age. You know, I think that's very different. I remember vividly sitting here and Brad Pitt was on TV and my dad didn't know who he was. It was like, yeah, that's my generation. Yeah. Old man, what do you want, old man? It's like, oh my God, now I'm the one looking at the Neutrogena commercials going, who's that girl? Yeah, this 21-year-old is bragging about her beautiful skin. Yeah, you're 21 years old. You got beautiful skin. You're going to be fine. It's going to be okay.
I hate commercials, but we ran across a commercial, my husband and I, and this girl is doing the same thing, a skincare or a perfume. And I looked at my husband and said, is she 12? She's not even old enough to be a
She
mom.
can't even pack that stuff in the wrinkles. What are we doing here? Jeez Louise.
Buy perfume.
No.
Her? No way. But no, I think you really hit the nail on the head. You kind of struck a nerve with me when you said, like, how how are you seen as oh, what did you say? Like not useless, like
Yeah.
useful. Are you useful? It's like, wow. And in what ways are you useful anymore? Besides, oh, I gotta lend you $50 for your copay. Okay, son, you're 33 years old. You gotta get this on your own now.
Yeah, that
But yeah,
and for
useful.
somebody like me my value was what I did. My value was all about production, of course. I had a father who went to work every day. I very rarely saw him because he was doing what was considered the right thing to do as a father. At that time, he was providing for the family. He was working as hard and as long as he could. So in order, of course, my coping mechanism was to work hard too, to try to, have him notice. Only daughter, youngest child. So looking for dad. So I became, I wouldn't say workaholic, but I always have multiple things going on at some time. I'm always doing this and wanting to do that. And to have that be the thing that really fades as you age. Like I was never really about my looks. I was never really about that. I was always pretty athletic. So that's been a bit of a bummer as I get older, but it's always been about productivity and
Yeah,
perceived value.
yeah.
And so that's a hitting me hard too. And it's just, and it isn't, is it a lack of usefulness or is it just the definition or just the social belief that as you get older, you aren't as useful? Or is it you've done that, you've been there, you've been useful. Now you don't have to be useful because we have these young folks coming up to be useful and you can take a break, which of course triggers me as well because that's how I find my value. So
Yeah, and me too. It's always been what I did and who I did it for, whether it be volunteering or getting paid for a job or a career of any kind. So, I mean, yeah, that usefulness also, it's how you see people looking at you, but also self-fulfillment. But do you, like what you just said, do you let other people do it now? I think it depends on what the job is or what it is.
Yeah.
Like we all get to that point where maybe even all our lives, if I want it done right, I'll do it myself. But then do you do that once you get into that retirement mode, or do you never want to go there because you'll feel useless?
Yeah.
I don't know. There are stuff that I've given up and stuff that I've hung on to, and figuring out what's worth my time and money and effort and emotions and quality of life is tough. It's just, that's hard.
Yeah, I've found myself a little while ago. There was a job opportunity that came up, and I was actually looking at my resume. It's not even called a resume anymore. What's it called? A CK? What's it called? But it's like, what are you doing? You're 62 years old. What are you doing? And it isn't that. And that's where I came around that kind of, you've already done it. It's like, it's somebody else's turn to be the charge nurse. It's somebody else's turn to, I've been the MVP on the sports team. I've been the captain of the sports team. I've owned my own business. I've done this. I've done that. I've done that. It isn't that I can't do it and then I'm too old to do it. It's that I've already done it. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, that never has given me the sort of comfort that I was hoping that realization would bring me. It was like, yeah, but if I did it, that's great, but nobody knows this. You know what I mean? It's not like I wear it on my chest every day so everybody knows that I was, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. These are little victories that you carry around with yourself. And I think that's probably what this whole discussion is always going to be about.
Yeah.
Is about the being our best cheerleaders, being, understanding ourselves and giving ourselves the credit for what we have done and reassuring us that it's, I don't want to say okay, because that's so trite, but that I guess that's what I'm going to say though. It's okay. It's okay. You've done it. And even if nobody else knows it, you carry that around with you every day. And yeah, that's the hard part.
That's a really good point. It's a really good point, is the accomplishments that, we moved about 14 years ago. And so I left the fire department where we were. And when we moved up here, my husband said, "You're going to get on the fire department." And I'm like, nah, somebody else can do those 3:30 a.m. lift assists. I don't need to do that. And
Yep.
I've not looked back. I didn't care. I have not missed it. I've missed the thrill of pulling a hose out of a truck and knocking down a fire. Yeah, I've missed that. But the rest of it, nah,
No.
nope, haven't missed it. But I gotta tell you a quick story. We had a young couple over for dinner, some friends of ours, and or they're kids of friends of ours. And I think they're early 20s. So the young lady said, "Oh, my sister watches your sourdough videos on TikTok because during the winter, not winter, during the summer, I like this whole year I've been learning how to make sourdough. A lot of people are like, "Oh, did you learn how to make sourdough during COVID?" Because everybody did, and I'm like, "No, I was busy teaching during." So I just now picked up sourdough. So, and I've got maybe 6, 10-second, 30-second videos on TikTok.
Nice.
Sourdough, and it's mostly just for my family.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know me a whole lot or very well at all. We just know her family. I know her sister. Her sister was in my youth group. But when we started going to this church, she had just graduated high school. So we were talking about their jobs and how busy they are with their jobs. They both, she just graduated from college a couple years ago. She's got a full-time job. Her fiance has a job. And we were talking about my husband's job and then, how much time we have left during the day. Like that, we're all so busy. And my husband said something about, yeah, you're busy, because he knows I love to bake. He's like, you're busy baking or you're making stuff that, like too much food that makes me fat, and teasing me,
Yeah.
And I said, and like work? And the young lady said, oh, you work? And I said, yeah. And she said, oh, TikTok? Like, I don't do TikTok as a job. What are you talking about? I know some people live on TikTok, but
Oh, yeah.
What?
There's a generation gap.
Oh, it was huge. At least 2.5 level generation gap there. And
Yeah.
my first thought was, what the heck are you talking about? My second was, you don't know me from Adam. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't say anything, but my husband laughed his head off. And those two just sat there dumbfounded, like,
Yeah.
No, like, nah.
Well, I think every generation thinks that the difference between their parents and themselves, or them and their kids, is the greatest generation gap ever, right? It's the greatest one ever. They will
Yep.
never, same kind of
And-
those kids and their rock and roll and, stuff like that. And that might be, we might be witnessing that biggest generation gap, because when you think about, I listened to too much John Deloney, and he was mentioning the other day that, so my youngest is 27, but he didn't graduate. So he didn't have a college graduation, but there is a generation out there that didn't have all the things that, like us with retirement, they didn't have the prom. They didn't have their high school graduation. They didn't have the riding around with their buddies on a warm summer night, getting in trouble. They didn't go TPing or whatever because of COVID, that stupid COVID, right? And that is making a lot of these gaps bigger, because these kids are walking around with this sense of they got ripped off. They didn't have all this stuff. They probably watch Happy Days and are like, what the heck? Was that really whether it's old or not, that's probably what they thought. They'd go to their prom, they do all these rites of passage. And without those rites of passage, do you pass?
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that whole TikTok conversation, that statement out of her mouth, I think maybe we are in the area, the gap is the biggest right now because of all the extra crap that the lockdowns and everything did for these poor kids. They got shut out of so many cool things in their lives. It's too bad.
Yeah, and there's so many aspects. That could be an entire podcast just talking about the aspects of how COVID affected everybody at every age level.
Yeah.
Someone was mentioning last week that the guys that are playing college football now have a sense of entitlement because they were handed everything in high school because of COVID.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, maybe it could be. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
But
don't
then
know.
college football players have their own sense of everything that I can't
I was gonna say there's another whole podcast when you get me involved with the NCAA and the image and likeness monies that they get now for anyway.
Yeah.
We digress. But yeah, I think there's a lot of too much going on in my head at this time in my life. I didn't think I'd be thinking this much, but I think we are uncovering some of the things that are gonna be, important to look at and hopefully get us out the other side with a better sense of how we move forward. So
Yes, I think that's exactly right. Because when you and I were in, well, 10, 11, 12, even 16, we never even thought of being any other age.
Hmm.
Just never thought about it. I was going to be 18 my whole life. I actually remember when I turned 17, because when I was 17, the legal drinking age was 18.
Mhm.
And you're a legal adult when you're 18. And I remember when I turned 17, I thought, I want to stay 17 forever because one, my parents are responsible for me if I do anything illegal. I look like I'm old enough to drink. And since I have this certain year on my license, they'll just look at the year. And so the whole year before I actually turn 18, I'll probably be able to drink, which was true. I was able to buy alcohol when I was 17 because all they did was look at the date or the year, but I
Oh my gosh.
didn't turn 18 until December. So
That's the whole reason for everything right there.
I didn't do it hardly. I only did it like twice. And it was one of those things like buy me alcohol from a friend,
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
school.
Oh man. Crazy. Crazy, but very formative. So it's hard to,
Yes, we need to discuss and learn more about why we're in this,
yeah.
why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And how the heck did we get here? That's for sure.
Get here and how do we make it? Well, we made it this far, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Beats the alternative, as we always say. Yeah, we're getting the old fogey sayings out now.